Dre is one of them dudes, a perfectionist. And Pac is like, nah, this got to go out. What we doing?
Hey yo, Ease.
Pac would do a song with anybody, how to not. As much as he worked, right? Sometimes when you work that hard in the studio, you just gotta, whoever's in there, we locking in. Work ethic on steroids. I was listening to on the R&B Money podcast. John B was on there, and he was speaking about Pac telling him pretty much, for lack of a better term, I'm not speaking verbatim, but he was telling him how work ethic is very important. You got to stay in the studio. Keep in mind how old he was when he passed away. You got to have a singular focus. You know how hard it is? And not to mention what he's around. I mean, it's nothing but drama. And he was still able to just keep the music, the main thing. That's what Deion Sanders said. Coach Prime, keep the main thing. That's what he did. So even with all the antics, he still, whether I was a fan of that era or not, he still gave so much work, man. For real. His flow on I Get Around fit that song perfectly. Listen, man. When did that come out? Is that 95? I give it 94, 95-ish, right? Or am I giving it, is it a little earlier than that? That's fire. Pac had the Mamba mentality. Or maybe Kobe had that Pac mentality. Yo, that's crazy. He was going to 96. He didn't even get to see them win a chip. That's 93? Damn. Yeah, Shock G is a beast for that one. Do you think some of Pac's flows and verses sound a bit rushed, like he was racing against the clock, which he was? You know what? I guess it comes back to execution, right? Because there's a lot of things he would try. But I don't know. Well, you mentioned the flow, but even like lyrically, right? Was I asking too much of him? Because could he have been a lyricist if he gave it more time? Or was that an attribute that he just didn't have? So his turnover time was a gift. You get what I'm saying? Like, had he worked at it, could he have been a Nas with the pen? Because if he wanted to, he could have dropped 3-4 albums in a year. Like, turnaround time was nothing for him. But as a lyricist, I don't think people go to him for that anyway. It's the emotion, right? We spoke about imagery or the connection. But I think, I think that could have hindered it as well. And I guess that's why him and Dre didn't really build that camaraderie or that relationship, right? Because Dre is one of them dudes, a perfectionist. And Pac is like, nah, this got to go out. What we doing? So what could have been between those two is something that I'll always question or cross my mind. He was a lyricist in your opinion? So I guess that always comes, that's preference too, right? Because like I spoke about, creativity is who you're gauging it against, right? So if you're going to always compare a basketball player to Mike, they never going to meet the standard, right? Oh, he didn't jump as high as Mike, or he didn't do this as Mike. No, you have to be reasonable, right? So maybe that I'm off in that sense, but as far as like the lyricism that I like, he didn't offer that, but you felt him. It's kind of like a bass player, right? It's the foundation, right? I like the bass line felt, not heard. Feel it here in my heart, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know when it's rattling. I don't need you doing tricks and licks and showing off in a sense. Just lay the foundation. So, yeah, you did feel everything that you say. And I think that's the gift, right? That's something you can't teach either. I don't even think you can work at that. That's just something you have. You know, someone who walks in the room and they just shine in all environments. They don't try. They're not looking for attention. They know how to blend in or shine in each environment, right? Quiet giant. So that's something that he had. You felt them. Dre got a bunch of masterpieces collecting dust. I don't agree with him not dropping music, especially when he's not a rapper. You know, with Dre, I think Dre became like, you know how Nas didn't let Illmatic hinder him? In a sense, like I'm just not gonna make another one. I'm just gonna stay away from it. I think Dre's previous successes were like his biggest enemy because it was always on his mind. Like what they're gonna think. Like he perfection, but music isn't supposed to be perfect. You ever listen to some music and the drummer's playing, and you may not hit the snare as hard as you hit it the last 5 times. It adds to the dynamics, right? Of course, but at the same time, the imperfections are what makes it perfect. I think you're right. Dre did miss a lot of opportunities, and we all did. Imagine how many masterpieces or iconic records are sitting on hard drives, or that ended up getting leaked anyway when he should have just put them out. I think Nas isn't afraid to fail. Dre is. We can leave that right there.